Well, I guess this is what retirement does. It's Veterans Day, and I said I was going to make some videos. Actually, I said I wasn't going to make any more videos. I kicked cancer's ass. I decided to make a couple of those. Anyway, this video is kind of, well, by looking at it, you'd see an ArcAngel stock. And looking closely, I just say that looks kind of rough and unfinished, which it is. And that looks like an obnoxious hardened steel gigantic 24-inch monster barrel, and you'd be correct. This is a 762 by 54R. This is essentially a home-built rifle using a Mosin Nagant receiver. Once upon a time, these were readily available, and you can still pick up Mosin Nagants all day long. You can rebarrel them and make them very accurate rifles, but I wasn't interested in the receiver, but what I was interested in were these military surplus, Russian military surplus, brand new, in oil wrapping, 762 by 54 threaded machine gun barrels. No threads on the crown. I want to say they were M57 machine gun barrels, but I'm sure that was anyway. Long story short, I bought a bunch of these, and I made several rifles, a few for friends, and I kept this as number 2 for spare parts, and if I wanted to build another one. But it was such a pain in the butt, I have to be completely honest. What you see is what was machined down. My machinist never wants to see me again, essentially. This was even larger in diameter than what you see now. They both have the same profile now. However, the difference between the two is that this one we continued on and we threaded the crown. And of course, this receiver got finished. Not this one. Number 2 has not been finished. Still rough and was heat treated, because none of these old sitting on the corners of whatever manufacturing plant at the time, when they were being spit out left and right to keep the Russian troops from being overrun by the Germans, were collecting dust. They became great fodder, and once they're cleaned up and polished up, I mean, all the machine work's done. Just finishing this. This is the rough cut. This is what they were sending out. They had hex and round receivers, and they were sending these things out. They're basically handing them to soldiers right outside the manufacturing facility so that they could fight the Germans. Now, in this configuration, it's not the most accurate rifle in the world because none of these were heat treated. But these barrels are the bomb, ready to rock and roll. Receiver, once the spacing and the head spacing is set up, they're ready to rock and roll. But the barrel is so freaking heavy that I assure you that once you were done with timing, getting head space correct, and heat treated your product, what you have in essence is an extremely heavy rifle, and you haven't even, all you have is a barrel receiver. So, in keeping with the PU sniper from World War II, I mounted a PU side mount onto the receiver. That was tricky. You know, I have to tell you, that takes a lot of time to do that one right. And since all the plates are original, there's a company out there that manufactures original side mount onto the original plate so that you can put 1-inch ringed scopes on it. So I've got a Bushnell Elite 3500 on it. And with the advent of Timney, you can put Timney trigger on it. So what you have is you have a heavy barreled 762 by 54 R with a detachable 10 round magazine. Never shot 10 rounds at a time, but 3 rounds at a time worked just fine for me. But in a configuration with Russian surplus ammo, which you get the red tip, the silver tips actually I prefer, but it's a copper wash steel casing, but talking about a firearm that is capable of 1 MOA all day long. And considering the expense, I think the most expensive thing on this entire rifle is a scope. Most of these components were picked up from surplus companies. ArcAngel stocks, I think they're less than $100. That barrel, I bought several barrels. I think all these wrapped barrels, I got them on a deal, so I think I got 12. All I have left are these 2, the finished rifle, and maybe one day I might get around to making another one rifle. And I think the barrels were, if you bought a couple at a time, were $100 maybe. I'm sure they were less. But, shoe on the Timney just because I got fat fingers, and they didn't have a flat blade available when I built this one, but for a rifle with probably less than 2 pounds, I'd have to build up the trigger gauge again. Same sort of AK mag release. It actually turned out to be a pretty good rifle. So when people tell you that you can't have or do something, anything's possible. Oh God, this is heavy. If you're willing to take the time and build something you want. In this case, I have more time than I have sense. And because I like the mechanics of these things, it kind of takes me back to road racing 2-strokes. I mean, everything has to work properly, everything has to be fitted properly in order for any of this stuff to work. And then when you're done, you know, the whacks out there that have no idea what they're talking about have no clue as far as the skill set that's required to be able to take something that is sub MOA capable and actually do a sub MOA grouping. There's more technique to it, but at the end of the day, if you take a little technique and you take a really good rifle, you wind up with a very wonderful day at the range. So why do I want stuff like this or enjoy building stuff like this? I guess it's for the same reason that we collect stamps, collect motorcycles. God knows I had a lot of those. Was collecting tons of them. Don't need a sports car. I like sports cars. Don't need a race bike. Don't need a sport bike on the street that'll do capable 160 miles an hour. I mean, come on. When you consider that a hammer is statistically more likely to hurt somebody than a rifle, I mean, it's pretty self-evident that the naysayers out there don't have a clue what they're talking about. But for you guys that are mechanically and girls that are mechanically inclined, there is nothing more fulfilling than taking a bunch of odds and ends and building something. And I don't have a single toy that is collecting dust in my collection that I didn't have some hand in altering for a specific reason. I don't have coffee makers mounted to them. I mean, they're kind of sano. They have a job to do, and that's it. The only thing this rifle does not need is the flash hider on the end. But I happen to have a box full of stuff that I got from Nodex but a zillion years ago, and well, they didn't, they weren't going on anything, didn't have anything for them, so sometimes you just simply take what you have laying around and you make something out of it. So, with that in mind, another video down, I might keep plugging away because I got lots to to share. And on this Veterans Day, I hope you all have something to share with each other. Okay, gang. See you later.